The crystalline spires of Nova Arcturus station gleamed like frozen lightning against the void of space. Sophia Rivers pulled her worn jacket tighter around herself as she watched her daughter, Emma, press her small hands against the observation deck's window. The 6-year-old's eyes reflected the shimmering towers with wonder, while Sophia's own gaze remained fixed on the massive shipyards that sprawled beneath them. "Mommy, look! The ships are dancing." Emma's delighted voice echoed through the nearly empty observation deck. A passing Zeraxian merchant shot them a disapproving look with all 3 of their eyes, their crystalline skin flickering with patterns of annoyance. "Lower your voice, sweetheart," Sophia whispered, running a hand through her daughter's auburn hair. Her own dark hair was pulled back in a severe bun, a habit from her military days she couldn't seem to break. "Remember what we talked about?" Emma nodded solemnly, though her eyes never left the graceful movements of the maintenance drones weaving between the massive starships. "We have to be extra polite here," she recited in a whisper, "because we're guests." Sophia's heart clenched. They weren't guests, they were refugees, though Emma was too young to understand that distinction. 3 months of station hopping had depleted their emergency funds to dangerous levels. Nova Arcturus was their last hope. The shipyards here were always hungry for skilled workers. At least, that's what the advertisements had claimed. The reality had proven far different. 5 interviews, 5 rejections. The Zeraxians, who dominated the station's engineering sector, had made their position clear. They didn't trust warmbloods with their precious ships, especially not single mothers with mysterious gaps in their employment history. A soft chime from her comm unit interrupted her dark thoughts. Another rejection, most likely. But the message that scrolled across her retinal display made her breath catch. Interview request, Nova Arcturus Secondary Maintenance Hub. Human Resources Coordinator Marcus Walsh requests your presence at 1400 hours. A human name. Hope fluttered in her chest, fragile as a solar sail. "Come on, Emma," Sophia said, taking her daughter's small hand. "We need to get ready for another meeting." The secondary maintenance hub was smaller than the main shipyards, tucked away in a less prestigious sector of the station. The corridors here were weathered, showing signs of actual use rather than the pristine perfection of the Zeraxian facilities. The air smelled of engine oil and honest work. Marcus Walsh was waiting at the entrance, his tall frame leaning casually against the doorframe. His dark skin was marked with the distinctive scarring of long-term exposure to slip-space radiation, a veteran spacer, then. His smile was genuine as he extended his hand. "Ms. Rivers? Thanks for coming on such short notice." His handshake was firm, calloused. Working hands, not administrators' hands. Sophia's suspicions deepened. "You're not really HR, are you?" she asked directly. Marcus's laugh was unexpected and warm. "Guilty as charged. I'm the chief engineer here. But we do need someone with your qualifications." "My qualifications?" Sophia kept her voice neutral. "The ones that 5 other yards have rejected?" "The ones you're trying very hard to hide," Marcus replied quietly. He glanced at Emma, who was staring wide-eyed at a massive engine assembly suspended from the ceiling. "Military-grade stealth system maintenance isn't exactly common knowledge, Ms. Rivers. Your last employer's reference was interesting." Sophia's hand tightened on Emma's. "I should go." "Wait." Marcus held up his hands. "I'm not asking questions. We all have our reasons for being out here on the rim. I'm offering you a job, nothing more. We need someone who knows their way around advanced systems, and we don't care what species they are or what their past might be." Sophia studied him carefully. "Why?" "Because I believe in second chances," Marcus said simply. "And because I've seen too many good people turned away by prejudice and bureaucracy. The pay isn't great, but it includes quarters for you and your daughter." "Safe quarters," he emphasized. With good security. Emma tugged at her hand. Mommy, can we stay? Please. I like the big engines. Marcus smiled at Emma. You know, we have a little workshop area for the kids of our staff. They can learn about basic engineering while their parents work. Completely supervised, of course. Sophia felt tears threatening. A job. A home. Safety for Emma. It was everything they needed, wrapped in an opportunity that seemed too good to be true. When can I start? Right now, if you'd like, Marcus said. I've got a tricky navigation array that's been giving us fits. Might take a few hours to diagnose. Emma can check out the workshop while we see what you can do. As they walked deeper into the facility, Emma's excited chatter mixing with the honest sounds of machinery, Sophia allowed herself to hope. Perhaps here, among these machines and these people who asked no questions, they could finally stop running. She didn't notice Marcus watching her with quiet concern, nor the way his hand lingered near the security panel as he input her new access codes. In the shadows of the station's less prestigious sectors, secrets had a way of hiding in plain sight. For now, that would have to be enough. 2 weeks into her new position at Nova Arcturus Secondary Maintenance Hub, Sophia found herself elbow-deep in the guts of a tachyon pulse drive, surrounded by tools and diagnostic readouts. The familiar scent of plasma coolant and heated metal brought back memories she'd rather forget, but her hands moved with the certainty of long practice. That's impossible, muttered Ren, a junior technician whose green scales rippled with disbelief. The quantum manifold is completely fused. It would take days to realign the drive hummed to life, its core glowing with a healthy blue light. Sophia allowed herself a small smile as she closed the access panel. Sometimes the old ways work best, she said, wiping her hands on a cloth. The manifold wasn't fused, just desynchronized. Military vessels used to have similar issues during long-range patrols. She caught herself too late. Ren's head frills twitched with curiosity. Military vessels? I thought you were a civilian contractor. Before Sophia could respond, Marcus's voice rang out from across the bay. Ren. Need you on pad 3. Got a cranky atmospheric processor that could use your touch. The lizard-like technician scurried away, but Sophia didn't miss the calculating look Marcus gave her as he approached. You know, he said quietly, for someone trying to keep a low profile, you're not doing a very good job of it. I'm doing my work, Sophia replied stiffly. Isn't that what matters? It is. But you're also drawing attention. Words getting around about the miracle worker in secondary maintenance. He leaned against the workbench, his expression serious. The Zoraxians have started asking questions. Fear, cold and familiar, coiled in Sophia's stomach. What kind of questions? The kind that suggest they're very interested in how a simple civilian mechanic can repair classified military tech without breaking a sweat. He held up a hand as she opened her mouth to protest. I'm not your enemy, Sophia. But I need to know if I should be worried. Before she could respond, a small voice piped up from the workshop entrance. Mommy! Look what I made. Emma came running over, holding something that resembled a miniature drone. Behind her, the workshop supervisor, an older woman named Helen, followed with an amused expression. Your daughter, Helen announced, is a natural engineer. She built this navigation simulator entirely on her own. Even programmed basic avoidance protocols. Emma beamed, holding up her creation. Can I show you how it works? Sophia's heart swelled with pride and terror. Emma's intelligence had always been exceptional, but now it felt dangerous. Like mother, like daughter, both too skilled for their own good. Marcus watched the interaction with thoughtful eyes. After Emma demonstrated her drone's capabilities, he crouched down to her level. That's impressive work, Emma. Would you like to learn more about ship systems? I could arrange some special tutorials. Really? Emma's eyes lit up, but she looked to Sophia for permission. Marcus stood, meeting Sophia's gaze. It would be a shame to waste such talent. And it might be safer if she learned in a controlled environment, rather than experimenting on her own. The implied message was clear: he knew there was more to them than met the eye, and he was offering protection through legitimate means. Sophia felt the weight of years of running, of hiding Emma's gifts as well as her own. "I'll think about it," she said finally. Later that evening, as Sophia tucked Emma into bed in their small but comfortable quarters, her daughter asked the question she'd been dreading. "Mommy, why do we have to pretend to be normal?" Sophia sat on the edge of the bed, choosing her words carefully. "Sometimes, sweetheart, people fear what they don't understand. And sometimes, being special can make others uncomfortable. Like the crystal people?" Emma referred to the Zaraxians. "They look at us funny." "Yes, like them." Sophia smoothed Emma's hair. "But not everyone is afraid. Mr. Marcus and Ms. Helen, they see our special talents as gifts, not problems." "I like them," Emma said sleepily. "Mr. Marcus looks at you the way Daddy used to in the old pictures." Sophia froze, but Emma was already drifting off to sleep. She waited until her daughter's breathing evened out before leaving the room, her mind churning. In the small living area, she pulled up the secure comm channel she'd sworn never to use again. The encryption sequence was still burned into her muscle memory. The message she typed was brief: "They're getting closer. Need advice?" The response came almost immediately: "Stay put. Handler en route. Trust Marcus Walsh." Sophia stared at the message in shock. Trust Marcus? Then he was. The pieces started falling into place: his knowledge of military systems, his careful protection, the security measures that went beyond normal shipyard protocols. A soft knock at her door made her jump. Through the security feed, she saw Marcus standing outside, his expression grave. When she opened the door, he spoke without preamble. "We need to talk. Your old employers just made contact." Sophia felt the world shift beneath her feet. "Your Federation intelligence." "Semi-retired," he corrected. "Now I just try to help people who need it. People like you and Emma." He stepped inside, closing the door. "The question is, are you ready to stop running and let me help?" The answer would change everything, Sophia knew. But looking back at Emma's closed door, she realized she was tired of running, tired of hiding their gifts. Maybe it was time to trust again. "Tell me everything," she said. The Nova Arcturus night cycle found Sophia and Marcus in his private office, surrounded by holographic displays showing classified Federation documents. Each file piece revealed another fragment of the puzzle she'd been part of, each revelation making her stomach tighten further. "Project Starchild," Marcus explained, his voice tight. "A classified program to identify and develop humans with enhanced cognitive abilities, particularly those relating to spaceship operations and advanced technology integration." Sophia watched the data scroll past, her throat dry. "They told us we were being trained as elite engineers. Special forces for critical missions." "You were," Marcus said quietly. "But that wasn't all. The program was also about creating the next generation of enhanced humans. Children born with these abilities naturally enhanced." His eyes met hers. Children like Emma. The truth she'd been running from hung heavy in the air between them. "They want her, don't they?" "Yes. But not just the Federation." Marcus brought up another file, this one showing a Zaraxian military vessel. "Your abilities, and Emma's, have attracted attention from multiple parties. The Zaraxians have their own programs, less ethical ones. They've been hunting for humans with your capabilities." A warning klaxon cut through their conversation. Red emergency lights began pulsing throughout the station. Marcus's communication unit crackled to life with Ren's panicked voice. "Sir. We've got multiple unauthorized access attempts in the main computer core. Someone's trying to bypass our security protocols." Marcus was already moving. "Lock down all critical systems. Full containment procedures." He turned to Sophia. "Get Emma and meet me at Emergency Bay 7. Now." Sophia ran through the darkened corridors, her heart pounding. The station's artificial gravity fluctuated, making her stomach lurch. When she reached their quarters, she found the door already open. "Emma," she called out, panic rising. "Here, Mommy." Emma's voice came from under her bed, where they'd practiced hiding during their safety drills. The girl crawled out, clutching her small backpack, always packed, always ready. "Good girl," Sophia breathed, scooping her up. "We need to go meet Mr. Marcus." They were halfway to Emergency Bay 7 when the station's power grid failed completely. Emergency lighting cast eerie shadows as artificial gravity went completely offline. Sophia activated her magnetic boots, standard issue for all engineering staff, and held Emma close as they essentially walked along the walls. "Sophia." Marcus's voice echoed from ahead. He was manning a security checkpoint, his expression grim. "We've got company. Zeraxian strike team just breached the outer hull. They're heading for the computer core." "What do they want?" Sophia asked, though she already knew the answer. "The station's database has detailed scans of all personnel, including genetic markers." He handed her a plasma pistol. "They're after proof of what you and Emma can do. With that data, they could identify others like you." A distant explosion rocked the station. Emergency bulkheads began slamming shut throughout the sector. "We need to wipe that database," Sophia said, checking the pistol's charge. "I can do it, but I'll need direct access to the core." Marcus shook his head. "Too dangerous. We need to get you and Emma to the emergency shuttle." "And then what?" Sophia demanded. "Keep running? Let them hunt down other families like us?" She looked at Emma, who was watching them both with two wise eyes. "No. This ends here." Before Marcus could argue further, Emma spoke up. "I can help, Mommy. I can see the patterns in the computer systems, just like you taught me." Marcus stared at the child in shock. "She's already manifesting those abilities? At her age?" Sophia nodded grimly. "She's stronger than I ever was. It's why they want her so badly." She made her decision. "Emma, sweetheart, you're going to go with Mr. Marcus to the emergency shuttle. I'm going to make sure the bad people can't find us anymore." "No." Emma clung tighter. "We stay together. You promised." Another explosion, closer this time. Marcus checked his tactical display. "They're getting closer. Whatever we're doing, we need to do it now." Sophia looked at her daughter, then at Marcus. In his eyes, she saw not just concern, but something deeper, something that made her heart skip despite the danger. She made her decision. "We go together," she said firmly. "Emma can help me navigate the systems faster than I could alone. Marcus, we'll need you to watch our backs." He nodded, drawing his own weapon. "I was hoping you'd say that. I've got a better plan than just wiping the database, though." He pulled up a schematic on his pad. "See this? It's a quantum encryption protocol I've been developing. Instead of erasing the data, we can lock it away," Sophia finished, catching on. "Make it impossible to access without keys that only we would have." "Precisely. And with Emma's abilities." He glanced at the girl with newfound respect. "I can make it extra tricky," Emma said solemnly. "Like a puzzle box with no sides." The sound of plasma fire grew closer. Marcus readied his weapon. Ready to make history, ladies? Because after this, nothing in the galaxy is going to be quite the same. Sophia checked Emma's safety harness one last time, then nodded. Lead the way, Commander Walsh. As they moved through the chaos of the failing station, Sophia realized that for the first time in years, she wasn't running away from something. She was running toward something, toward a future where she and Emma might finally be free to be themselves. And she wasn't running alone anymore. The computer core of Nova Arcturus station hummed with barely contained power, banks of quantum processors casting a blue glow over Sophia, Emma, and Marcus as they worked. Through the reinforced windows, they could see the occasional flash of weapons fire in the distant corridors. Security breach in Sector 7, the station's AI announced in its maddeningly calm voice. Hull integrity at 82%. Sophia's fingers danced across the holographic interface while Emma sat in her lap, her small hands occasionally reaching out to touch certain data streams that only she could see. Marcus stood guard at the entrance, his weapon ready. They're trying to access the tertiary systems, Emma announced, her voice distant. The crystal people are very clever, but they're doing it wrong. They'll trigger the safety protocols. As if on cue, another explosion rocked the station. Marcus checked his tactical display. They're getting desperate. That last blast took out their own access point. Good, Sophia muttered, not looking up from her work. Emma, sweetie, show me that pattern you saw in the defense grid. Emma's fingers traced complex patterns in the air, leaving trails of light in the holographic display. The station's computer systems responded to their combined input, security protocols reshaping themselves into configurations that shouldn't have been possible. Remarkable, Marcus breathed, watching them work. I've never seen anything like it. It's like you're speaking directly to the machine. That's exactly what Project Starchild was about, Sophia explained, her hands never stopping. They found people who could interface naturally with advanced technology, then enhanced those abilities. What they didn't expect was that those enhancements would be passed on to the next generation. And amplified, Emma added matter-of-factly. Mommy says I can see things even she can't. A warning light flashed on Marcus's display. We've got company. Multiple hostiles approaching from 2 directions. Sophia looked up sharply. How long? 3 minutes, maybe less. He moved to the secondary entrance, laying down defensive measures. Whatever you're going to do it fast. Emma suddenly stiffened in Sophia's lap. Mommy, something's wrong. There's another signal, it's not the crystal people. Sophia felt it too, a subtle intrusion in the station's communications network, sophisticated enough that most systems wouldn't detect it. Her blood ran cold as she recognized the signature. Federation intelligence, she whispered. They're here too. Marcus's expression hardened. That's impossible. I'm the only Federation contact on this station. Are you? Sophia challenged, her fear turning to anger. Or are you just the one they let me see? Before he could respond, a new voice cut through the room's speakers. Commander Walsh, your performance has been admirable, but we'll take it from here. The core room's secondary door slid open, revealing a woman in a nondescript civilian outfit that didn't quite hide her military bearing. 2 more agents flanked her, their weapons trained on the room's occupants. Agent Reeves, Marcus growled. You're outside your jurisdiction. Project Starchild was never under your jurisdiction, Commander, Reeves replied smoothly. She turned to Sophia. Mrs. Rivers, you've led us on quite a chase. But it's time to come home. You and your daughter have so much more to contribute to the program. The program is illegal, Sophia snapped, holding Emma tighter. Using children as test subjects? Breeding humans for their abilities? The public would never stand for it. The public doesn't need to know, Reeves said. What they don't understand is that we're creating the next step in human evolution. Emma represents a breakthrough we've worked decades to achieve. She's not your breakthrough, Marcus said quietly. She's a child. Reeves sighed. Commander Walsh, your romantic attachment to this situation has compromised your judgment. Step aside. Instead, Marcus moved closer to Sophia and Emma. No. The moment stretched taut as a wire. Then several things happened at once. Emma whispered, "Now, Mommy." Sophia's hand slammed down on a specific sequence of controls. The station's lights went out completely. When emergency power kicked in 3 seconds later, Reeves and her agents found themselves facing an activated security field, with Marcus, Sophia, and Emma on the other side. But more importantly, every screen in the core room was displaying the same message: data transfer complete. What did you do? Reeves demanded. Sophia allowed herself a small smile. Emma didn't just help me encrypt the database. She helped me send it, all of it, to every major news organization in Federation space. Project Starchild, the illegal experiments, the genetic manipulation program, everything. You're bluffing, Reeves said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Am I? Sophia nodded to one of the screens, where headlines were already beginning to scroll. It's over, Agent Reeves. The truth is out. A new explosion rocked the station, the Zeraxian strike team, finally breaking through. Reeves and her agents turned to face the new threat, giving Marcus the opening he needed. This way. He led them through a maintenance access tunnel, one that didn't appear on any official station plans. As they ran, Emma looked back at Sophia. Did we do good, Mommy? Sophia kissed her daughter's head as they ran. We did great, sweetheart. We did great. Behind them, the sound of Federation agents engaging with Zeraxian forces echoed through the station's corridors. Ahead lay an uncertain future, but for the first time in years, it was a future they could face standing still rather than running. Marcus caught Sophia's free hand as they ran. For the record, he said, slightly out of breath, I really was trying to help you. That part wasn't an act. Sophia squeezed his hand. I know. That's why we trusted you with the real plan. Real plan? He looked at her in surprise. Emma giggled. The encryption wasn't just to lock them out, silly. It was to let everyone in. As they reached the emergency shuttle bay, Sophia allowed herself to hope. The truth was out. The running was over. And somehow, in the midst of all the chaos, she'd found something she thought she'd lost forever: trust. Now they just had to survive the next few minutes to enjoy it. The emergency shuttle bay was chaos incarnate. Alarms blared as automated systems tried to cope with multiple hull breaches throughout the station. Through the massive viewports, Sophia could see escape pods launching in steady streams, their emergency beacons painting the void with desperate light. The main systems are in lockdown, Marcus announced, his hands flying over the shuttle's pre-launch sequence. We'll have to override manually. Sophia settled Emma into a crash seat, securing the harness. I thought that was the point of having an emergency shuttle. It is, but, an explosion rocked the bay, cutting him off. Through the smoke, they could see Zeraxian troops engaging with Federation agents in the corridor outside. The firefight was intensifying, plasma bolts scarring the reinforced walls. They're both after the same thing, Emma said quietly, her eyes distant. They think if they catch us, they can still get the data back. They don't understand. Sophia looked at her daughter with pride and sadness. At 6 years old, Emma understood more about the darkness in people's hearts than any child should have to. Marcus cursed as another system refused to respond. The Zeraxians have locked down the launch protocols. Even with my override codes. Let me, Sophia said, placing her hand over his on the console. She closed her eyes, reaching out with that extra sense that had made her both valuable and hunted. The shuttle system sang to her, a complex symphony of data and energy. Emma's small hand joined theirs on the console. "I can help, Mommy. We can make it dance." Together, their abilities merged, mother and daughter speaking to the machine in ways that defied conventional understanding. The shuttle's engines hummed to life, systems activating in sequences that shouldn't have been possible. "That's incredible," Marcus breathed. A new voice cut through their moment of triumph. "Step away from the controls." Agent Reeves stood in the shuttle's doorway, her weapon trained on them. Behind her, they could see her remaining agent engaging the Zoraxian forces. "This ends now." "It already has ended," Sophia said calmly, not moving. "The data is public. Project Starchild is exposed. What are you really fighting for now?" "Control," Marcus answered for her, his voice hard. "It's always been about control, hasn't it, Reeves? The Federation couldn't stand the idea of enhanced humans living freely, making their own choices. We gave them purpose," Reeves snapped. "Direction. Look at what Sophia and Emma can do. That kind of power needs to be guided, controlled." "No," Emma said suddenly, her voice carrying an authority that made everyone turn to look at her. "You're afraid. I can feel it. You're afraid because you can't understand us, can't make us be what you want. But that's okay." She smiled, and in that moment she looked far older than her years. "We understand ourselves." The shuttle system surged, responding to Emma's presence. Emergency shutters began closing throughout the bay. "Last chance, Agent Reeves," Sophia said. "The station's becoming unstable. Those Zoraxian charges did more damage than they intended. You can either keep trying to control things you don't understand, or you can help us save as many lives as possible." Another explosion rocked the station, larger than the others. Warning klaxons took on a new, more urgent tone. "Station core breach imminent," the AI announced. "All personnel evacuate immediately." Reeves hesitated, her weapon wavering. In that moment of indecision, Marcus moved. His years of combat training showed as he disarmed her in one smooth motion. "Make your choice," he said, holding her weapon. "But make it fast." A burst of plasma fire from the Zoraxian troops decided for her. "Fine," she growled. "But this isn't over." "Yes, it is," Sophia said, turning back to the controls. "Emma, show me that pattern you saw in the emergency protocols." Together, they worked with impossible speed, their abilities linking with the station's systems. Emergency signals flashed throughout the facility, directing both Federation and Zoraxian forces to evacuation points. The shuttle bay doors began cycling open. "What are you doing?" Reeves demanded. "Saving everyone," Emma explained simply. "Because that's what humans do." Marcus efficiently secured Reeves in a crash seat, then returned to the cockpit. Multiple ships launching. "The Zoraxians are withdrawing. They know they've lost," Sophia said, her hands dancing over the controls. "Their attempt to acquire enhanced human abilities has been exposed too. There will be diplomatic consequences." The station shuddered around them as they finally launched, the shuttle's engines pushing them clear of the dying facility. Through the viewscreen, they watched as secondary explosions cascaded through Nova Arcturus Station's superstructure. "I sent them all the escape routes," Emma said tiredly, leaning against her mother. "Everyone who wanted to get out could." Sophia held her daughter close as Marcus plotted their course away from the station. "Where to?" he asked softly. Looking down at Emma, then at the man who had risked everything to help them, Sophia felt a peace she hadn't known in years. "Forward," she said. "We go forward." Hours later, as their shuttle tracked through hyperspace toward Federation space, Emma slept peacefully in her crash seat. Sophia watched her daughter's gentle breathing, marveling at her strength and innocence. "You know the Federation will have to acknowledge us now," she said quietly to Marcus, who sat beside her in the cockpit. All of us with these abilities. They can't keep pretending we don't exist. No, they can't, he agreed. The truth is out there. Project Starchild, the genetic studies, all of it. There will be investigations, reforms. He took her hand. You'll have a voice in shaping what comes next. Both of you will. And you? She asked, meeting his eyes. What happens to the semi-retired Federation intelligence commander who threw away his career to help fugitives? His smile was warm as he squeezed her hand. I was thinking of going into private sector work. There's a talented engineer I know who might need a partner in her new ventures. Assuming she's interested. Sophia felt her heart lift. I think she might be. Her daughter seems to like you, after all. Emma stirred slightly in her sleep, a small smile on her face. Outside the shuttle's windows, the stars streaked past in endless rivers of light, carrying them toward a future that was uncertain but full of possibility. They had exposed the truth, faced their pursuers, and chosen their own path. For the first time since Emma was born, Sophia wasn't running from something. She was running toward something, toward a future where her daughter could grow up proud of who and what she was, toward a chance at happiness she'd thought lost forever, toward a love that had proven itself in the crucible of crisis. As if reading her thoughts, Marcus drew her closer. We're going to change the world, you know, he murmured. Sophia rested her head on his shoulder, watching the stars streak by. No, she corrected him softly. We already have. And somewhere in the depths of space, a little girl dreamed of machines that sang to her, while her mother finally found the courage to stop running and start living. The future was uncertain, but they would face it together, not as fugitives or experiments, but as a family.